The market's been really volatile this year, and here to give us some stock ideas is Lamar Villere, fund manager. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about the market so far this year. We've seen a lot of volatility, some record highs. What's your outlook?
Well, we think the market's obviously all in had a pretty good year, better than most people were forecasting, and we seem to be headed into that, maybe even getting into the low double digits, which would be great. We do think there's some room on the small cap side. Now, small caps is where we focus. We tend to buy small, concentrated portfolios of small cap stocks. We think that's where the value is in long-term growth. And small caps really have lagged. They're pretty much flat or even down a little bit this year, as opposed to the S&P, the big stocks, the big bellwethers, which have really had a nice run.
Right. So if you're looking for opportunity, it sounds like some small cap names might be a good place to focus.
That's what we think. Yeah. And it's a tougher space. It's harder to find good names and good risk-reward trade-offs because they are less known and they're less household kind of names. But we think, if you really do your work, meet with management, really understand the companies, we think that you can really outperform.
Okay, so let's talk about some of your ideas and some opportunities you've found.
Sure. So one of the stocks we like right now is a company called Sanchez, and they're based in Texas, and the bulk of their operations are down there in the Eagle Ford Shale. It's a great opportunity. This summer they acquired 100,000 acres from Shell that effectively doubled the size of their business, and it's been a great holding for us. And
what's another one that you'd mention?
Sure. 3D Systems, which is a three-dimensional printer, actually prints objects, and it's gotten beat up this year, but we think the long-term prospects are great. They're able to print objects in everything from ceramics to chocolate to metals. And it's got a lot of room to run here.
Yeah, that's been kind of a hype sector a little bit, right?
It has, and the hype cooled down a little bit, so the stock is off this year, so we think it's a lot more attractive from a valuation perspective now.
Okay, great. And let's try one more.
Sure. We can talk about a company called Everbank, which is a bank actually based in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, but it's not really a Jacksonville bank, it's a national bank, and the thing we like about it is the fact that we think they're ahead of the curve on where banks are going in terms of they don't have these expensive branches on every corner. Instead, they pay their depositors a much higher interest rate. And so we think over time, that's the way things are headed, and they're able to pass those savings on to their customers. And we think that's the right place to be.
And while you're here, I wanted to ask you about your balanced fund, because that has an unusual approach for balanced fund that you do emphasize these smaller cap stocks. Can you tell me a little bit about how that works?
Sure, absolutely. I think within the balanced fund world of multiple asset classes, stocks, bonds, cash put into one bucket, I think generally most of our peers tend to have a very diversified, lots of stocks, lots of big stocks, whereas our approach is to be much more laser focused and pick a small portfolio of just on the stock side, just of our 20 to 25 very best ideas where we really have a chance to understand them. And then once you've done the work and you've got the confidence, you can hold these stocks for a lot longer, so that it also is more tax efficient than doing a lot of trading of the large caps. And I think that's one of the reasons our performance has been what it has been. We've won the Lipper Award for the last 3 years. So we think it's a differentiated approach that seems to be working.
Yeah, and what about the risk? Is it riskier?
It's certainly more volatile, but so the higher highs and lower lows, but over the long term, small caps have proven to be the better performing asset class.
Great. Well, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.